For many years, I used substances like marijuana and alcohol. I was a social smoker, but I used these substances to escape from the moment and to numb uncomfortable feelings. When I was younger, I wasn't taught how to regulate my emotions. My feelings weren't reflected back to me. My caregivers didn't know, how they handled difficult situations or challenging emotions was alcohol and cigarettes as well. First thing in the morning, coffee, smokes. First thing at the end of the day, alcohol. And that was my day, like every day, growing up in the household that I was in. And I can remember since I was young. Sorry. I can remember since when I was a little girl, I used to use, when I figured out self pleasure, I used to use that before bed to release and feel calm so that I could go to sleep. Most nights, my mom was up drinking, and so I guess for some reason, it just made me feel anxious knowing that I couldn't control my environment and my mom or my caregivers. And so I did that when I was younger, and then when I was around 13, I started smoking weed. 15, I started drinking, social smoking. And it's just really, it was a part of the culture too. The people I hung out with growing up, it was just the thing. Alcohol and drugs were the thing to do. And so for many years, this was my thing, which if you think about it, using these substances, you're escaping the moment and you're not present and you're suppressing all the emotions and feelings that you're feeling. And like even in my late teens, I used to smoke weed just so that I wouldn't get angry at my mom for being drunk. Angry, emotions, feelings, right? Because when I got angry at her, she would get upset and cry. So then that made me feel guilty. So then I would just smoke more so that I could feel relaxed, just so that I could be with my mom and spend time with her. Anyway, into my 20s, 23, I ended up moving out of my house and ended up living on my own and carried these habits, these ways of escaping the moment. And even though I was still on like my spiritual journey, right? Trying to find myself, trying to find new ways of being, thinking, like philosophies, law of attraction, Buddhism, because I was always hungry for change and a different way of being and living, because I where I came from wasn't sorry, my throat. Where I came from wasn't ideal for you to live your happiest life. And so I was hungry to be better, but I still carried habits that came from my environment in which I chose to also partake in and continue to partake in. And what I'm realizing, I've gotten a lot better now. I used to drink quite a bit. And this morning, sorry for that long winded story. That's a little bit about me. But this morning, I was thinking to myself that I know I didn't know any better, but I feel like we spend so many years and so much time in our life, some of us drinking, smoking, all these things because we're trying to, it's a habit, and for whatever reason, what's happening is you're escaping the present moment, and those things that are going into your body, are not good for you to begin with. And so for myself, and it doesn't allow you to learn how to deal with your emotions in the moment. And if you think about it, most of us and our issues that we have are emotion based, right? Either we can't express our emotions, or we lash out, or we suppress them, we ignore them, we project them, right? So these substances, even if it's, you going and emotional eating or emotional shopping, it's all like avoidance of being present in the moment with our emotions and our feelings. And no wonder I had a challenge, in my early adult years you know, up until now, I mean, I've gotten a lot better, but of like being present with my emotions is because growing up, I mean, all you're doing is suppressing and inhibiting all those feelings inside of you and not learning how to actually deal with them. And I also wasn't taught how to deal with them. And maybe some of you weren't as well. So you kind of got to find your own way, which is fine. So then it got me thinking, you know, maybe we can start placing some more importance on if we really want to overcome the challenges in our life, especially the emotional challenges or our relational challenges, because everything is emotional. Everything is, relationships, right? The people that you talk to at work, that your friends, your intimate partners, strangers on the street. Everything is intimate. Everything is relational. Everything is emotional. And if we have these challenges in our relationships with ourselves and with other people because of emotions, and because we avoid sitting with our emotions and gaining some sort of emotional intelligence and understanding, right? If we're able to do all of that, if we can do that, then why not start to acknowledge that and think about the things that you do in your life, substances or non-substances, but the things that you use to avoid what's going on within you. And although it might be hard at first, which it was definitely a challenge at first, but I feel like the more you practice anything, the easier it gets. And the benefits definitely outweigh the challenge of it. My own personal, intimate relationship has gotten a lot better because of me addressing my internal world, me sitting with my feelings and understanding myself better, spending less time inhibited and more time present in the moment, in myself and feeling myself and really connecting with myself. And although I know you may enjoy these habits, and I'm sure most of you don't do these things to avoid your feelings, but also remember that when you are using, let's say, alcohol or even drugs, certain types of drugs, especially alcohol, you are inhibiting your soul, your presence, your ability to discern what's going on in the present moment. You're inhibiting your intuition. And so you miss out on life. How many hours, how many moments, how many memories do you have in the past where you were drunk and you were with people that you cared about, but you don't really have those memories locked into your heart because you were inhibited? So, sorry, my butt's getting cold out here. So, my point is that I grew up not learning about my emotions. Somebody not teaching me or being there for me, comforting me in my times of need. And that's okay, right? Like, most of us didn't, weren't taught a lot of these things growing up. And so instead of allowing that to define me and allowing that for me to also become an alcoholic and continue suppressing my emotions and avoiding them and running away, I want to make my life better, and I always have. And I just want to challenge you today to think about what it is that you truly want out of this existence, your life. And that no matter where you've come from, no matter the hardships and the pain and the shit that you went through, you have the power to create the rest of your life. But every single choice that you make every day, every single step, right, leads you in that direction. So if I was to continue on with the same habits of my family, of my parents, of my ancestors, the same ways of suppressing my being and my soul, if I were to continue that, then I would never expand and evolve and grow from the mistakes of my ancestors, right? And I too also won't be able to live out my life in the best way possible. I want you to think about that. And I want you to know that every single person on this planet deserves the best life. You have a birthright to experience. You were allowed by some higher power or something to literally come into this life. You are here in the flesh, your soul in this human flesh, this body experiencing this life and everything around you. And whatever you think this life is, it will be. So if you think your past defines you, and you think that because you don't know this and you didn't do that and you weren't taught that, right? And you just continue on with the same patterns, you're never going to experience all that you're able to experience. So I challenge you today to ask yourself, what is it that I want to experience? And to sit with your feelings and your emotions and try your best to avoid escaping the moment with whatever it is that you use to avoid feeling your feelings, because the benefits outweigh the challenge of it, and you will feel a lot more centered and a lot more like your true self when you continue to practice this.